I love the Pope. I was very interested. John Paul, let's go back to him. John Paul II. The second talk that I did when I was giving my little speeches was about him. And I don't know how this happened, but I started working on it the year, I was going to do it at the convention that year. That was the year he died. And I went on the internet and I found out so many things about him I did not know. And I already knew who I can't even say his name correctly, Cardinal Ratzinger. I already knew who he was because he worked closely with John Paul II. So I was not surprised that he became the Pope. And I think that he was a wonderful choice because he kind of follows what John Paul II did.
The popes have played a strong role in humanity and our society through time, but particularly even in the last half century, they're leading the world in seminars and get-togethers over things like child slavery and drug abuse and the lack of religion and respect and tolerance. We had a cardinal visit here in Sacramento a few months ago and spent time with him. The Catholic Church seems to be concerned about everyone, not just the Catholic Church.
Exactly.
Would you see it that way?
Yes, and it's funny you're saying that because I have the National Council of Catholic Women. Every year they pick something to focus on, and this year it's the Campaign for Human Dignity. And in here are exactly what you're talking about, the different things that are happening in the world that we need to look at. And they want us to focus on these. This is the National Council, but in our diocese groups all over the United States, we are to look at this and see what we can focus on in our area.
And have you decided yet how you will do that?
No, because I've only been president for less than 2 months. But I will tell you, I already started in on part of this when I invited the doctor to come and talk to us about pornography on the internet, because it's part of this program. So I just kind of jumped in.
Human dignity is a big topic, but a very narrow and personal topic. Would you agree?
Yes, but it covers a lot of things. It covers a lot. There's just so much that's involved in it. One of the things we do through the National Council, you've heard of Catholic Relief Services? I think you probably have.
Yes.
They're pretty big. Well, we work with them, and at our parish level, when we have our meetings, ladies bring in money that they've collected for the Water for Life, where we're giving it to countries, third world countries that don't have water, so that goes to support them. We gave away in our diocese probably almost $2,000 this year was collected from the different groups and gone through national into that organization. So that's one of the things we do.
I'm a member of the LDS Church, and we do a lot of humanitarian things. Just the other day I was talking with a man who'd been in Africa, and the LDS faith had wanted to build a 16-mile pipeline from a natural spring that would come down to 3 or 4 towns and villages. And with the help of Catholic Charities, that got done quickly because the Catholics supplied the trucks and the pipe and many of those other things, and the LDS people had to secure the labor and see the work got done. Is it more now than ever before that we're working together?
I don't know. I think that's probably true. I know that we have tried to do things in a worldwide way, but I think now with communication being better, because we have ways to communicate with each other that we didn't have before with the internet, and it's much better than it was. And I think, yes, we're doing more.
Is the Sacramento Diocese holding its own as far as dioceses in America?
Yes, I think so. You can ask the ladies back in the National Council office how many times I've called them already to be a squeaky wheel because I've asked for information that is not available, but I'm kind of thinking outside the box. Yes, I think that they know we're here.
Does your women's group have a direct connection to interfaith? And I'm not saying specifically us, but into the interfaith of the greater Sacramento area.
We don't really, and we really weren't aware because we're so involved in our activities until June Stein, my friend, because she's been involved with this group for years, brought it to our attention, and she's planning on doing more of that, I might tell you, in the next couple of years because she's on my board. So I think it's something we're going to work on in the future more than we have been.
Now, speaking of June, because I know and associate with her a little bit, are there many women who are really involved in all of this, or is this just 6 or 8 or 10 who are trying to carry the whole bucket of water from
You
the
mean
well?
the Diocesan Council?
Yes.
Oh, there's probably 20 of us that are on the board. But the board, everybody's invited to the meetings. It's not a secret society. We're just the ones that try to see what we're doing in the diocese.
And are these women of all ages? I mean, do you wait and come to this when you get past your children growing up and you got out of your 30s?
Typically, it's women that have their children raised because you don't really have the time to devote. So it's a lot of women that have kind of gone through their life already. And I was looking at, kind of thinking about it when I became president, because most of the women were widows or have been lately. So that they've waited quite a while to serve. But yeah, it's women that don't have kids at home, young ones.
I'd like to ask you about the remodel of the cathedral downtown several years ago when that was closed down for several years. What was the reaction of all of that to the Catholics at large?
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you ask my dad, and he's going to be watching this show when it's on TV, too much money spent, didn't need to do it. But some of us felt that, yes, we needed to renovate, because otherwise what would have happened is maybe the church wouldn't be in good shape, and we had to kind of get it back so that it can last longer. It's
a beautiful facility. Everybody raves about it.
And everybody had to pay for it too.
Sure.
So we consider it our church. You know, it's the bishop's church. That's considered his church.
Now, what do you think are the great needs in our society these days? And let's first of all focus on family.
Well, I think we need more prayer. We need more communication. We need a better value system, because we're having trouble with that right now. Kids aren't thinking about what they're doing before they act.
What about the great needs in the business world, the business climate?
I think the business people need to be more open to helping their communities and not just making a profit.
Does getting involved do it? Or have you got to do and say more than just being involved?
What do you mean by getting involved? You mean?
Well, I'll get involved in the Women's Council. Is that enough?
No, because once you get in the Women's Council, then you see how many different issues are going on with the families and with the community, and even internationally. We talk about all these different things, and I think once you're in there, then you want to do more.
And are these people allowed an opportunity to sort of follow their passion?
Oh yes. I ask them when they come on board, what do you feel, how do you feel you can serve? Which capacity would you like to serve in as one of my commission chairs, or how can we make this a fit for you?
One of my personal frustrations, it doesn't anger me or irritate me, just frustrates me, is that we've got all these different groups pursuing homelessness, and yet we could be doing it all together, I think, in a much better way.
It doesn't seem like anything gets accomplished.
Same way with unwed mothers, children having children, drugs, alcohol, all those other sorts of things. I hope one day we'll work more together in doing all of that, but that takes a lot of vision.
And how do you see that in your respect? When you say we, you're talking about the Interfaith Services Bureau?
I am.
What would you see would be a good way to get more done, to work together more?
Well, I'm supposed to be asking the questions.
No, I'm certain, because you mentioned it.
I'm just kidding with you. It just seems to me that one church could take the lead because we have a dozen different topics to work with.
And I'd like to help you guys too, as the president of the Women's Diocese Council. I mean, I don't think we've ever been involved, and I think it maybe we should be.
Well, I think it should be too. We'll try to get that done. Is there a quiet work that we don't hear much about that's unfolding in the Catholic Church in America?
I don't know about in America, but one of the things I found out a few years ago that I was surprised about was prayer shawl ministry. A lady that lived up in Folsom and goes to that church had told me about it, and I thought, wow, this is really great. And what it is the women can crochet or knit at home. It's a quiet thing to do. And then you pray as you make the shawl, and you give it to someone that's sick. You pray, your prayers are in there. And it's just a wonderful thing when you give somebody a shawl, because I've had that experience. And it makes them feel good, it makes you feel good, and it's just something you're just doing and nobody knows about.
I saw a statistic not long ago that said, and I'm not getting my figures correct, but something like 7,000 or 8,000 babies die every year in the state of California before they ever leave the hospital. And that mothers have nothing to put them in. There's nothing to wrap them in and swaddle them in as they're taken away to funeral homes and those kinds of things. And I wondered about, is there a service where blankets could be made for the babies?
You know, I saw something on TV about that recently, and some lady was doing it. I don't know where it was, but I was not aware of that. I wasn't aware that that many children died. But yeah, maybe that's something we could take a look at.
It's hard, is it not, for a lot of people to do the quiet things. Most people want to do something with a little more light and a little more glory to it as opposed to something quiet.
I don't know if most people, because like when I look at my ladies, you know about the landmines that are going on in some of the countries. Well, that's another thing we get involved in. We collect money for that also and help so that they can put plants into those areas where those landmines were. And it's quiet, yes, but we know it makes a difference. Just like getting the money for Catholic Relief Services for the water. We know it makes a difference. Those people don't know who we are when we send the money and the check. But we're doing it little by little. Every meeting we pass the thing around and collect the money.
In your leadership role, will your executive group have a theme each year, do you think, or are you following something already in place?
Well, we're following the National Council this year, and it's going to be the Campaign for Human Dignity. So we're going to tie that into what we're doing here in Sacramento and in our diocese to see how we can educate our ladies in the different areas about how they can make a change in their community.
Will there be correlation at the same time going on in the schools and the churches so that from the priests down, everybody's getting sort of the same word?
Well, I don't know because this is the women's group, so I don't know what they're doing is going to be the same, but it kind of all works together. It all meshes together.
And are you receiving joy and happiness and peace from the work?
Yes.
And how much longer will you serve?
I get to be president for 2 years, but we changed the bylaws last year so that I can stay off 2 years and then maybe get back in again.
Well, and it's fun to serve with groups who are actively involved in doing good.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we do.
Sometimes just for good sake,
Yep.
no other reason.
That's right.
Well, is there any other thing you wanted to comment on for those who will be watching?
No, I just wanted to say hey to the ladies, and it's amazing that we've been around since 1920, and so many people still don't know what is the Sacramento Diocesan Council of Catholic Women. They just don't have a clue, and I'd like them to take a look at us. You know, go to your local parish organization, find out more about us. When there's a deanery meeting, a local meeting, come to the meeting, find out what we're doing, be a part of it.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to have you here. We'll try to follow up with some of the other Catholic sisters and that as you've suggested.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thanks.